Suriname is a land of extraordinary diversity, a small country on the northeastern coast of South America that contains within its borders a cultural richness unmatched in many larger nations. Its forests, rivers, and cities have been shaped by centuries of migration, colonization, and resilience. The nation's population is made up of multiple ethnic groups, each with unique traditions, languages, and stories that together form the tapestry of Suriname today. Understanding Suriname requires not just a glance at the map, but an immersion into the experiences of the people who call this nation home, from its indigenous communities to the traders, laborers, and descendants of enslaved peoples who shaped its cities and rural landscapes. The indigenous peoples were the first inhabitants of Suriname. Long before the arrival of European colonizers, tribes such as the Arawak, Carib, and Wayana lived across the region, deeply connected to the land and waterways. Their existence revolved around subsistence agriculture, hunting, and fishing, supplemented by gathering fruits, nuts, and medicinal plants from the surrounding rainforest. Each tribe developed its own social structures, spiritual beliefs, and languages, with traditions passed down orally through generations. The arrival of European powers in the 16th and 17th centuries brought dramatic change. Colonization introduced foreign diseases, forced labor, and territorial displacement that reduced indigenous populations drastically. Despite these pressures, many communities survived, preserving their traditions and asserting land rights. In modern Suriname, indigenous peoples continue to inhabit both rural areas and remote interior regions, maintaining a strong relationship with their environment while participating in political movements to protect their land and culture. Their villages are often small but tightly knit, with homes traditionally made from wood and palm thatch, blending seamlessly into the surrounding forests. Some of these homes now incorporate modern materials like concrete or corrugated metal, particularly near main roads, but they retain the characteristic low-profile design suited to the tropical climate. Average home prices in indigenous villages are difficult to quantify, as many dwellings are inherited or community-owned, but small modern homes in semi-rural areas often range from $30,000 to $60,000 USD, reflecting a combination of limited infrastructure and the use of locally sourced materials. The Maroons arrived in the history of Suriname under circumstances of survival and defiance. These were descendants of Africans who were enslaved on Dutch plantations but escaped into the dense jungles, forming communities that became autonomous and self-sufficient. Groups such as the Njuka, Saramaka, Paramakan, Aluku, and Quinti established settlements deep in the rainforest, often along rivers to facilitate travel and trade. Their ability to maintain independence from colonial authorities is a remarkable story of resilience, as they developed their own governance systems, languages, spiritual practices, and cultural customs while sustaining themselves off the land. Maroon culture today reflects this history, blending African, indigenous, and European influences, visible in music, dance, rituals, and art. Traditional Maroon homes are often made of local timber, with open structures to allow ventilation in the humid climate. In more developed areas along accessible rivers or near small towns, concrete houses with corrugated iron roofs are increasingly common, and prices for these homes can range from $40,000 to $120,000 USD depending on size, materials, and accessibility. In addition to family homes, communal buildings are central to village life, serving as centers for decision-making, education, and cultural ceremonies. After the abolition of slavery in the 19th century, Suriname faced severe labor shortages on plantations, prompting the arrival of indentured laborers from British India. The Hindustani, also known as Indo-Surinamese, came mainly from regions such as Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, bringing with them languages like Bhojpuri and Hindi, and rich cultural practices including Hinduism and Islam. They were contracted to work on sugar, rice, and coffee plantations but gradually moved beyond rural labor into commerce, politics, and professional fields. The Hindustani community preserved much of their ancestral culture, including religious festivals such as Diwali and Holi, traditional clothing, cuisine, and music. Family structures are generally close-knit, and social gatherings remain an integral part of daily life. Many Hindustani families live in urban areas such as Paramaribo, Lelydorp, and surrounding districts, where housing ranges from traditional wooden row houses to more modern concrete homes. Average prices for a three-bedroom house in Paramaribo are typically between $160,000 and $270,000 USD, with newer apartments in the city center sometimes exceeding $300,000 USD. In smaller towns or rural areas, prices can drop significantly, with modest homes costing as little as $50,000 to $80,000 USD. These homes often feature gardens or small plots of land for growing vegetables, reflecting the community's agricultural roots. The Javanese arrived in Suriname in the early 20th century, also as indentured laborers brought by the Dutch from Indonesia. Like the Hindustani, they initially worked on plantations but eventually branched out into commerce, agriculture, and professional sectors. Javanese culture in Suriname is marked by traditional dance, gamelan music, cuisine, and the celebration of Islamic religious festivals such as Eid al-Fitr. Language retention is notable, with many Javanese descendants still speaking Javanese at home or in community gatherings. Housing among the Javanese is similar to that of Hindustani families, with a mix of wooden and concrete homes. In suburban areas and towns with larger Javanese populations, three-bedroom homes typically sell for $120,000 to $220,000 USD, while more luxurious or centrally located properties in Paramaribo may cost $280,000 to $350,000 USD. The combination of inherited land, modern construction, and community cohesion makes neighborhoods predominantly Javanese distinct and culturally rich. Creoles, primarily descendants of Africans brought to Suriname as enslaved laborers, represent a significant portion of the population. Creole culture is an amalgamation of African, European, and indigenous influences, evident in language, food, music, and social norms. Cacique music, traditional dances, and Creole cuisine such as roti, palm, and peanut-based dishes highlight this blend of cultures. Creoles are often concentrated in urban centers but also live in coastal rural areas. Housing varies widely. In Paramaribo, older wooden homes with colonial Dutch architecture are common, selling for $140,000 to $250,000 USD depending on condition. Newer concrete homes and suburban developments may range from $200,000 to $320,000 USD. In smaller towns or peri-urban areas, simple 2- or 3-bedroom homes can cost $60,000 to $100,000 USD, offering opportunities for new families to own property affordably. The Chinese community in Suriname arrived primarily in the late 19th and early 20th centuries and became known for commerce, trade, and entrepreneurship. They established shops, import businesses, and restaurants, contributing significantly to the urban economy. Chinese culture has maintained strong family networks, culinary traditions, and the celebration of festivals like Lunar New Year. Housing for Chinese families often centers around commercial districts, but they also reside in residential neighborhoods. Three-bedroom houses in Paramaribo for Chinese families typically range from $180,000 to $300,000 USD, with more modern apartments costing $250,000 to $400,000 USD. In suburban or smaller urban areas, prices are lower, ranging from $80,000 to $150,000 USD, reflecting the balance between proximity to commerce and affordability. Housing in Suriname reflects both the economic diversity and cultural background of each ethnic group. Paramaribo, the capital, has neighborhoods that differ drastically in home prices depending on infrastructure, access to services, and historical development. For instance, areas like Centrum, Munder, and Kamavena feature older colonial homes that are highly valued for their architecture, ranging from $200,000 to $450,000 USD. Suburban neighborhoods like Flora, Latour, and Tamenga offer more modern constructions, with 3 to 4 bedroom homes typically priced between $180,000 and $350,000 United States dollars. Rural areas offer more affordable options, with small houses or wooden homes ranging from $30,000 to $120,000 USD. Many homes include gardens, small yards, or agricultural plots, reflecting the continued importance of subsistence activities for both indigenous and maroon communities. Infrastructure and access influence housing significantly. Homes near paved roads, electricity, and running water command higher prices than those in interior regions or remote villages. Additionally, modern construction materials like concrete and steel are increasingly preferred for durability, especially in flood-prone or hurricane-sensitive areas. Financing options are limited, with few local banks providing mortgage products, meaning that many residents purchase homes with cash savings or family support. Housing developments are slowly expanding in suburban Paramaribo and regional capitals, reflecting population growth, economic development, and the rising interest of diaspora Surinamese returning to invest in property. The lives of Suriname's ethnic groups are intertwined with their housing, reflecting both cultural heritage and economic opportunity. Indigenous villages prioritize community and connection to nature, while maroon homes blend tradition with evolving needs. Hindustani and Javanese neighborhoods combine urban and rural lifestyles, maintaining gardens and space for extended families. Creole and Chinese communities highlight the integration of commerce, education, and urban living. Across all groups, the average cost of homes in Paramaribo ranges from $150,000 to $350,000 USD, with higher-end properties exceeding $400,000 USD, while rural homes remain more accessible at $30,000 to $120,000 USD. This diversity in housing mirrors the diversity of the people themselves, making Suriname a unique study in multicultural coexistence. From the dense forests where indigenous and maroon communities live, to the bustling streets of Paramaribo where Hindustani, Javanese, Creole, and Chinese families thrive, Suriname is a country defined by its people. Their migrations, struggles, resilience, and cultural expressions converge to form a vibrant society. Every home, whether a traditional wooden hut, a concrete urban residence, or a modern suburban house, carries the story of its inhabitants. The nation's identity is the result of centuries of adaptation, preservation, and innovation, demonstrating the extraordinary power of diversity to create a harmonious and resilient society. Suriname's continued growth, both culturally and economically, rests on the interplay between its rich history and its modern aspirations, showing how a small country can hold a world of stories within its borders.